Hey traders, Barry Burns here with Top Dog Trading, and today we're going to do something we haven't done for a while, which is some live trading analysis. So the setup here is on the midterm chart. So this is a cherry picking trade, and it is the first cycle low after dad turns up. So that's the trade that we're looking at here. Then we go to our short-term chart, and we're looking for a trigger. And we got our trigger first, a cycle low, and actually it is a first retrace in the trend as well. So we do have concurrent setups, although momentum is not good there. Then we go to the long-term chart. KD are angling down, but Mom is angling up slightly, so that's supporting the trade. So overall, not too bad. So actually, you can consider this a conservative cherry-picking trade, since the long-term Mom is angling up, although it's actually pretty flat, so it's not a real great confirmation. But it is technically there. And we've got concurrent cycle lows on the short term and the medium term. The biggest concern here on this trade is your resistance levels above. So on the long-term chart, 9,000 tick chart here, these are the E-minis, by the way. So yeah, we got to go long, which is what we're doing. We've got resistance overhead of the moving averages there. So that's a bit concerning, although it did provide some resistance. Then we go over here to the midterm chart, and we've got even a bigger problem because we've got all four moving averages clustered together there. Whenever that happens, then that means that over the last 15 to 200 bars, not really much difference has happened. But especially here, you got the 100, the 50, and the 200 MAs above us. So you got a cluster of resistance that we've got to plow through. So that is a downside of taking this trade long for sure. And then kind of the same thing over here on the short-term chart, although it's worse on the medium-term chart. But we've had a little pinball pattern here between the 100 MA, which is the yellow line, and then the 50 MA, which is the green line below it. So we're going to have to get above that if it's going to go anywhere. So again, that's our biggest problem right here. The support resistance energy is against us in this trade. So we don't have trend on our side, really. It is a momentum trade, as I talked about. In order to get at least, even halfway decent risk-reward ratio, we're going to have to get beyond the moving averages and get up to this previous resistance high, that horizontal blue line there. And that's just a previous swing high. So we'll see. Now, above that, we have our 200 MA, the purple line there. So if we can get up to there, that would be even better. But, yeah, we'll see. So that's the setup. That's the reason for the trade. I'd rate this trade about a 3. At this point, 3 out of 5, which is not very good. But, it's got a few things going for it in the sense that we do have concurrent setups on the short term, the medium term. Again, the medium term, remember, it is a first cycle low after dad turns up, so it's a momentum trade. But then again, the four moving averages clustering together there shows not much momentum. And again, moving averages clustering together on the 1,000 tick chart is against us, but then we also have a not a great setup for a first retrace in the trend. Technically, we have a first retrace in the trend, as you see there. 50 MA angling up, and we've had our first cycle low. But momentum, if you look at Mom and Dad, they're both hovering around 0. So if you were to ask me, does this have much momentum behind it, I'd have to say no. Same thing looking at the midterm chart. Mom is hovering around 0, therefore really not tremendous momentum, although we've got the momentum signal of the first cycle low after dad turns up. So kind of the idea is, even though we don't have momentum on our side, eventually out of contraction comes expansion. One of the things I do like about this trade is that we do have a second chance pattern here on the medium-term chart. That's not a mini divergence, that's a mini convergence, second chance pattern. So that is in our favor, and so that adds to the probability that at least that will be the final cycle low, so not too worried about getting stopped out. So that should give us at least a small winner or even a break-even trade when you see something like that. Our problem is the risk-reward ratio on this. So, and then by the way, also, if you look at the short-term chart over here, that's also a mini convergence. Now, it may not look like it because it's not very dramatic, but K going up there and then just kind of going, it doesn't even go sideways. It certainly doesn't come down. It just kind of angles up a little bit. Well, it angles up, and then it angles up at a steeper rate, and then angles up at a sharper rate. That is actually considered a second chance pattern as well, because price makes a higher low, as well as K. Therefore, it's considered a mini convergence, but that is one of the 6 second chance patterns. So don't forget about that. So we've got, that's another thing that's good about this trade, is that we have second chance patterns on both the midterm and the long term. So pretty confident that that is our cycle low. The only question is, how far is it going to go? Is there going to be a big reward here or not? So right now, even though it is a momentum trade on the midterm chart and a trend trade on the short-term chart without momentum, problem is, the downsides are that we have all that resistance overhead, and momentum hasn't really shown its head yet. So if you're taking this trade, you're kind of hoping, well, okay, momentum has come out of the market. Yes, that's true. But after momentum, we look for expansion, and eventually that will happen. The tricky part about ex-con trades are when. When will they happen? So since we're trading inside of contraction, that becomes a tricky business, and don't always get the timing right on them. So, and that's okay, because when we get these kind of patterns here with concurrent cycle lows, concurrent setups, concurrent second chance patterns, that means we can be pretty darn confident. We do have a high probability of not getting stopped out and being able to exit the next cycle high, take off some of our profits at least, and then we're golden. Then we don't have to worry about it. Get a small winner at least. So, as a lot of traders say, you can't win if you're not there. So you've got to be able to take some trades that may not be winners, but we're trading probabilities, and they're all not going to be big winners. So that's okay. But we're there when they are, and when they're not, at least we're taking a trade that has probability. In fact, the truth is, when you're trading, most trades are not big winners. Most trades are, and this is true when I went to Chicago and was watching guys trade, a lot of them took a lot of trades. I've seen two different kinds of traders actually on this. But when I was in Chicago, the guys, at least that I knew there, yeah, they were taking a ton of trades every single day. Oh my gosh, they had so many cards, and they were just trading like crazy. So they did a high volume of trades, but then when you looked at the results, the vast majority of them were small winners, small losses, or what they call scratch trades, which is basically a break-even trade after commission and slippage and spreads and fees and all that kind of stuff. So, and they would consider a scratch trade a small winner or a small loser. But they actually also had a saying a scratch is a win. And what they meant by that was that, you have to be there. You have to be in the trade in order to make the money. So they were there for the opportunity, and if it didn't turn out into a big winner, that was okay. As long as they didn't lose money, they were there for the opportunity. So they consider that kind of a win, if you will. That was the slogan that they used. So I tell you this to set realistic expectations I find that a lot of traders think that every trade they make is supposed to be a big winner, and that is exactly the opposite of reality. The reality is, for most people, is that most trades are small winners, small losers, scratch trades, all that kind of breaks even. And that's maybe, I don't know, 70, 80, maybe 90% of your trades, even something in that ballpark. And then 10 or 20, 25% of your trades, you make some good money. And then, gosh, maybe once or twice a week, this is if you're day trading, maybe once or twice a week you get a big, huge winner. And those one or two a week are, that's your real money for the week. So that is more the norm that I've not only experienced in my own trading, but that I've seen with other professional traders that I know. So that set your expectations realistic based on that. And that's why they say, you got to be there to take a trade, because the big winners come so infrequently, you just got to be there for every high probability trade. So when the big one comes, you're there and you don't miss it, because they don't come that often. Okay, so here we go. We're just still not really much has happened. I mean, we got filled, but yeah. Our indicators there are just, slightly up, but again, not enthusiastically so. We're just kind of riding that 15 EMA sideways on the midterm chart. We've still got our mini convergence pattern, but really hasn't gone anywhere. Remember, your cycle indicator doesn't tell you how far the market's going to go. It just is pure timing. Okay, things were moving so slow, decided to stop the recording and come back. So now we'll come back, and the market finally moved up, and it's gotten up here to, actually got above the previous wave 1, so we've got a wave 3 now here on that trend, and it got up close to the 200 MA, and so that's where it's gone. So we're out of time here, so I'm going to have to stop here, but also running into the 50 MA on the midterm chart.